So, okay, Alex, could you please check if we do appear on YouTube?
Okay, give me a second, please. Just one moment. So YouTube, you say, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, I do see us.
And do we appear on Twitch?
Okay, give me a second once again. Yes, it's working.
Fine, cool. So, guys, hope you have a nice day, and we're happy to greet you at our regular QA stream on Beast Tower. So now we are just figuring out all the technical things and setting up the broadcast. Today we are broadcasting not usually as to YouTube and Twitch, but also we do broadcast on Steam. So, okay, Alex, I'm sorry. We do have Discord playtest on 27th of June, right?
Simply test? You mean
No,
27th?
I mean,
19th.
no. I mean for those who support us on Patreon.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken.
It is what done on Monday. Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, and but you see
Yes,
also
you're right.
and live chat. On what day we do have live chat?
I think it's today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Could you please check the date and if necessary make a note in the closed Discord channel?
Yeah, I have already made.
That's fine. That's great. So now, guys, I just need a couple of seconds to set up the stream in Steam. So currently in Steam, we do have a pre-recorded video which is running. There should be marked as a live video. Unfortunately, I don't know how to change it to a pre-recorded. I maybe heard that it's possible to do. That way it can be marked properly, but unfortunately, we didn't figure out how it can be done in Steam. So if you know, please let us know. We would be happy to change the mark so people know that it's not a live broadcast, but the broadcast was pre-recorded.
Maybe the easiest way is to put the watermark on the video, so that
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so now we need to go to the Steam page to see if everything's working properly and if we are being streamed there. Okay, I do see that we appeared, so we are on Steam right now too. Okay, so let's see what's been happening on all of our platforms. So as we may notice that we're expanding our broadcast, trying to cover as many channels as possible at the same time. Okay, let's go. Okay, I do see us on Twitch. Okay. And somebody already dropped us a line. It's
what's up, boys?
what's up, boys? It's fine. Hope you have a nice day too. Okay, so guys, we'll just be waiting for maybe a couple of more minutes for all those who would like to join us tonight, or maybe other time of a week in your case, or of a day, sorry. Okay, so I'll just be keeping an eye on our... Okay, so I do see a message in our Steam chat, but I don't know. I believe I saw it just maybe in the middle of 2 days. So a person is saying that he downloaded or she downloaded the game and will give it a try. So thank you very much if you do hear us right now. Okay. Speaking about our topic today, we actually want to tell you some rules. how we are taking part in the Steam Next Fest event, which is running on Steam right now. Please drop us your questions about Steam Next Fest or any other thing you are interested in the game. We'll be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, because it's a very important moment for us. We cannot be less excited.
Yeah,
to be
because
honest.
on the 19th of June, I mean this Sunday, from 6 to 9 p.m. UTC, you'll be able to play Beast Tower demo, a free demo, just to give a try for the game and to make up your mind what's going on in the haunted city and who you like best to play, Raiders or Beasts. So please join us. We will be there at that time. We will have a real live stream. So as now we are showing you a recorded video which is running behind us. It's not us playing, it's just good and excited games which we pre-recorded and made this long video for you to just understand how the game is played. And on Sunday, we'll be here and we'll be actually playing the game with you. Okay. So we already have a question in Twitch. So I need to notice that Twitch is a really mystical platform for me because we do very little on promoting ourselves there. We just appear on Twitch just once a month, but we have tons of questions there and tons of activities. So guys who are watching on Twitch, thank you very much for your activity and for supporting Beast Tower. It means tons of us, honestly.
Yeah, so let me just ask you the question from the chat.
Sure.
So, so this person wanted to ask us even last time when we had a live stream about the. So right now we do have 2 factions in the game, but where there'll be more, or maybe at least 1 more faction in the future. Maybe it's a certain, third team. Maybe it's team versus team.
Okay, so just let's start from the base thing. First of all, in Beast Tower, there are no teams. So each raider and every beast is on his or her own, and you don't have any allies. It's up to you to decide whenever you want to attack people or to ignore them, depending on the situation in the game, on the map, and what is actually more comfortable for you as a player according to your style of play. So, I mean, we don't have sides in this case. We have types of gameplay which you can follow. You can be either a kind of a prey or a runner playing as a raider, an adventurer who's exploring the haunted city and looking for its riches. And on the other hand, you can choose beast gameplay, being a hunter, a chaser, a kind of a monster who is bloodthirsty and want to just attack things and tear them apart. So this is 2 main gameplays which you are to choose from in Beast Tower. So if we're talking about adding new creatures, new raiders, yes, we do plan to do so, and you even can find in social media some sketches of our next beast on which we are currently working and prototyping. Just have a look. Let's be a kind of a short quest for you. And if we talk about adding some kind of a new gameplay type, a third type of gameplay, honestly speaking, I believe it's hardly possible. Because you see, currently the game is already a working formula, which is repetitive, which is fun, and which people like to play again and again. And it's really hard to put some really big part of the gameplay you are currently talking about without breaking what's already there. I mean, maybe not really breaking, but with the necessity to rework things much. Maybe in future we would have some kind of crazy idea which would work perfectly fine and people would love it. But currently we don't plan to add a new type of the gameplay behavior which we offer for our players.
Yeah, but let's just let our imagination go wild. So what could possibly be this third?
You see, I have a kind of a crazy idea in mind. So I believe it could be that one of the players could take up the role of the keeper. I mean, this mystic thing, this mystic lord of the haunted city, who is, making the announcements, and actually in the game you hear only the voice of this great entity and really powerful one, who is in control of this damned place. So maybe, but possibly, I just want to highlight that it's just an idea, a kind of a crazy thought which just came to my mind, and we by no means are planning to do it now or in the future currently. So we don't plan to do these things. It's just a kind of a, you know, an exercise for my mind. So you can control the keeper and you can make, maybe some crazy things. So you can make some rain of fire falling in some part of the city, or you can boil down the earth in the other, and players need to climb up the buildings in order not to get burned to the bones, something like that. Maybe you've played games of such a kind. I believe Alex is far more erudited in terms of different game mechanics because he plays far more different games than I do. But I remember the game which was called Fable Legends. It was in Fable franchise, which I believe honestly really liked the first part, Fable. I played it myself. And in Fable Legends, you would be playing either as a part of the noble heroes who are in charge of going through a series of locations in order to fight a boss, or you could be a villain who would be seeing everything from the top-down perspective and was in charge of dropping more monsters, of activating some traps, unlocking some doors, or something like that. Well, crazy thinking, maybe such a behavior could be possible to be represented by the role of the keeper in the game. But the point is, and Alex, I believe, can just tell me if I'm right or wrong. I don't remember if there was any kind of game which such a separation of roles of, this kind of a villain who is after the location with such perspective and a team of players going around, or not a team of players, it doesn't matter. In our case, we don't have teams. If it would rise, because apart from Fable Legends, I remember only one game in Resident Evil franchise, which was released a couple of years ago. I watched some streams on that, and I honestly speaking even don't remember how it's called properly, and I don't know if this game is still alive.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Resident Evil Resistance. I played it a couple of times, and to be honest, I enjoyed it. I'm so like talking about the references, the ideas. I remember that there was a game. It's a pretty old game called Dungeon Keeper. Maybe you have heard of it.
I've heard this name, but to my shame, I never played it, and I really know little about this title.
It's a single player game where you control, where you play as a keeper of the dungeon, and there are heroes coming into your dungeon, and you should put traps and other obstacles on their way in order to for them
Great.
not to fulfill the quest.
You mean that you are in charge of guarding some type of a treasure from them?
Yes, so you have the treasure, and you like this entity looking at the map from from the distance, from above, and you can put traps, you can put minions that would stop players, not players, but heroes. They are like they are not really really people playing the game.
So maybe it's AI control bots
Yes,
actually.
yes, you're right.
Okay, but you see, what I was talking about, I mean the type of gameplay
PvP.
of PvP, when a dungeon keeper is performed this role by exact person who is in charge of all the, quests and all difficulties which their, like, let them call adventurers are having to go through. And if you remember the whole word dungeon keeper or dungeon master, it just was introduced in Dungeons and Dragons table plot games, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but I'm what I'm thinking about is that both Fable Legends, especially, and maybe some other titles and Resistance, I don't know whether they were well played because Fable Legends, for example, was closed pretty soon. Although Microsoft invested lots of money and lots of time in this title, and art-wise, at least, it looked pretty cool, and I would be really happy to give it a try. And especially according to the Resistance, maybe you could tell a bit more about your experience because I honestly never played the games of such kind. Although we do try our best to try every symmetrical game possible.
To be honest, I wanted to play more. I intended to play more, but they had some kind of a, or maybe I am not really sure, some kind of a connection problem or server related problems, which really it interrupted my gameplay every time I tried to play a match. So
Mm,
it was really a few matches like from start to finish I completed, but most of the times I just got disconnected. Um, you know, one more thing about this topic. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the Battlefield games, maybe Battlefield 4. We They had a third person, not third person, but a third side. So there was, if I'm not mistaken, again, there was one team, the second team, and a person who can like intervene in the match using laptop. You know, this person would have like a map, and he could put some I don't know, something on the map that would like players would have to deal with. If I'm not
you mean
mistaken, there was
some quests, some mobs,
some
some.
obstacles, yeah, maybe some calamities, some explosions, some helicopters, something like that.
But you see, still, I don't know if any game apart from Dungeon Keeper, and Dungeon Keeper honestly was not a PvP game as far as I understand, it was just completely PvE game. Have you heard if they were really successful and they still are on the market? Because as far as I know, nobody still managed, no team still managed, I mean, team of developers, of course, and didn't manage to create such type of a gameplay which would be really last long.
Yes, I do not remember. I mean, there are very few examples of such gameplay types, even like tried to be released. And I don't know any successful ones. So it's a kind of a, maybe it's a, there will be some gem, will be some developer will come and figure out how to make a perfect game, but
Yeah, but you
not
see,
yet.
and when you was playing Resident Evil Resistance, you played the roles of the, let's call them survivors, or you played the evil mind?
I tried to play both. Um, if I even saved some of the footage from this gameplay, if I'm not mistaken, on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, I think that we got another questions about.
Yes.
So it's. Could you please read it up if it's not possible?
Yeah, of course. So about the inspiration for making this game, um, is there another isometric game or maybe a movie that inspired us to make Beast Tower?
Okay, if we talk about just exact genre, of course we were inspired greatly by Dead by Daylight. So this idea of ones who are running away and those who are chasing them in terms of PvP and with different gameplay goals, yes, completely DBD, goes without saying. Um, if we talk about, I mean, some kind of a similar idea, it would be Prince of Persia Warrior Within. So this idea of fast and nimble and really skilled person running away from a huge and unstoppable monster. Yes, the feeling and the general idea of a man against a beast, a monster, it came from this title. And if we talk about movies, I believe it would be mostly inspired by the 13th district in terms of movement, in terms of parkour, in terms of, crazy tricks that and moves which the actors of this film were performing. And especially taking account that this game was, I'm sorry, this movie was starring David Bellet, who is honestly my personal hero because when I was studied in high school and in university, I was trained in parkour myself. Unfortunately, I got a back injury, and that's why I had to stop this sport. But I really, really enjoyed it and liked it very much. And maybe due to this, the parkour became a very important part of Beast Tower as a mechanic of movement, because it's the thing I personally know and understand how it works.
Mhm.
Then it's just okay. And if we talk about the atmosphere and how everything looks like and feels like and all these images, I believe it was the movies of the Underworld franchise with starring Kate Beckinsale as the Celine, this vampire lady, and her beloved one, werewolf guy. So we really like how werewolf were done there, how this all darkness, this all lighting was working, and in terms of diversity of monsters and diversity of things and just guys with the devices, it was, I think, Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman as the main character. So yeah, I think it would be the right answer for that. And generally, we had lots of sources of inspirations among games because Order 1886 gave us idea of visuals like with Bloodborne on the other hand, and generally the World War One as the first, as we can call it, steampunk war with weird machines, weird armor, weird weapons and first lethal things like poisonous gas, which was used against infantry. Yeah, lots of things which, somehow mixed together and, came to the thing which we are really are seeing on the screen right now. To some extent, I could even name such titles as Castlevania. Yeah,
Mm. Mhm.
the thing, especially the one with the Symphony of the Night, the very old game for PC One, but, still a very cool one, and yeah, I personally really enjoyed when they used this story as the base of Netflix series of the Castlevania, with all these famous characters like Belmont and Alucard and Dracula. Yeah, so it would be working.
Yeah, so just like in terms of gameplay wise, we have a combination of many titles, and
Yeah.
I believe we do have some original ideas uh, as well in this tower. But in terms of setting, it's almost the same thing because like many people look at our game and see different something different. So for example, one person can say, oh, it's a steampunk game. The second one says, oh, you have like werewolves, so it's probably dark fantasy. uh, and like I don't know if it's our strong point or a bit of weakness, because I mean, just like I've said, people see what they want to see, and we cannot say like, oh, it's 100% this type of setting.
Well,
It's a mixture.
I think it's more the questions which you should be, put in a different way. That as long as people like what they see, I think it's not really matters to what kind of a reference they compare us with because every person has its own preferences and its own personal library of memory and different things which he or she managed to play, see, read, and so on and so after. So as long as people just like the style, like the atmosphere, like the action, for me personally, it's completely okay if they compare us with some different things. Because as you have said, some people compare us with Bloodborne, others compare us with Nazgûl, this famous world of vampires from Legacy of Kain Soul River. franchise. And we're completely fine because, you know, it's quite things which are to some extent similar to one another. So it's well, totally
Yeah.
okay for me.
So we do have another question. What about the name of the game, Beast Tower? Is there a story for that, or was it just a matter of general choice? I
Okay.
do believe you have a bit of a story.
Yes, there was a bit of story because, you know, actually the whole idea came from the fact that we wanted just to make a game about parkouring away from werewolves. That was the idea. The generally simple sentence which actually made the whole story. And at the very beginning of the development, we had an idea that, you know, about of 10 adventurers get locked into a cursed place, and a mystery keeper of this damned city, damned castle at that time, would be playing a cruel hunger game of turning one of these adventurers into a monster, a werewolf, who has to chase the humans, uh, kill them, turning them into new werewolves. And so there would be more and more monsters on the map until there would be only one person, only one human remaining, and the ending would be simple. Either the human would survive for a minute and not be killed, and that's why winning the game, or the werewolf who would finish the human would win the game. And so we wanted just to say that at the and there would be you know, a kind of a delay of turning into of choosing a person who would be a monster, and that's why, you know, we had this idea that the game begins just a minute or two before this mysterious beast hour spell starts, and some person will be turned into a monster. So yeah, so that would be just a kind of a ringing clock, which would be saying that somebody has turned into the beast. That's what it's called. Actually, the first name of the title was Hour of the Beast. And when we Googled it, it turned out that it's already occupied by some, you know, fiction, or maybe you would rather say erotic fiction, short story, novel about the love of a girl and a werewolf. You know, this kind of a typical for romantic novels, for erotic novels, cover where a muscular, big, actually really human-looking werewolf is holding a, you know,
A
feelingless
lady.
a lady, yes, just in his hands and holding on the moon. So simple, it's quite popular in such fiction. Yes, that's why we decided that we shouldn't use it and just switching the words and, you know, changing putting beast in front of hour. We got beast hour, and it sounds even better than it was before. That's why we decided we're completely fine with that, and we just stuck to this name.
I should also mention that during the development, the game, changed many times.
Yes.
And each time we figured that Beast Tower would mean different things. And in the end, we realized that, so we do have this two-phase structure of the game, and it's only natural to call the transition between the parts Beast Tower, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Because you see, we just playing the game until this phase begins, so we just hastening the coming of this beast hour time, and just without any spoilers, but to make you know that it's a very important part of the lore of the game. This, you know, words beast hour, and it's actually the thing which is the foundation of the whole game's lore. And that's why when it all connected together and made such crazy and unbelievably working together without any intention on the first thing of just choosing the title's name, we decided it's a kind of a destiny for us and we should use it because it works nice.
Yes, and I believe it's short, memorable, and in
Yeah.
overall, it's a
Uh,
good name.
Once a friend of ours told us a very good formula for naming a game that, the name of the game should sound like a name of a rock band. That it's bright, it's cool, and it's remember. So it's easy to remember, and it's just catching your eye, it's catching your ear. So just if we remember about famous rock bands, I mean like Rolling Stones, it's already just sounds like rolling, yeah, or maybe my personal favorite Manowar, just simple and powerful and strong. And that's the thing why I decided that Beast Tower is just looking pretty nice, and especially in the way that sometimes players and developers, when they're just talking and having a kind of a game slang, it's good when the first letters of the game's title stick together nicely. So in our case, BH works nice. I can't say that BH is a kind of unique mixture of letters. I believe it's quite popular. You can find other things which call this way, but we decided that it works nice and it's okay for us.
And so the last question, the last curiosity from that patrolling coming, if I'm not butchering your name, is about the possibility of adding more characters from other games titles. Uh, have Anton, have you thought what character from other franchise would you add? Maybe from a movie, maybe from other games.
Ah, you mean the guest characters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly speaking, we've talked about this idea before during our QA streams, and just with our friends and with our colleagues with whom we develop Beast Tower. And it's really, really cool for us. So there is already a short list of characters which we would be really happy to get a license to make them guests in Beast Tower. For example, Prince of Persia, because it's a kind of the guy who inspired the whole game. Also, my personal choice would be Van Helsing, because I really, really like this old movie with Hugh Jackman. I really like how it worked out, although it wasn't get really good critics. It doesn't get good views in cinema, but still now it's considered to be a classic, movie about monsters and all these mystic things. Then I would love to have a Blade from Marvel to be part of Beast Tower. I mean, of course, taking into account the fact that we have a visual style of World War One, we would be definitely changing the look of these characters so that they suit in this epoch of the beginning of the 20th century, but still that will be, of course, understandable. This is the Blade, this is Prince of Persia, this is Van Helsing. And in terms of female characters, I think it would be nice if we could have a guest character of Celine from the Underworld. Because as you know, Celine, according to her lore, she is quite an old vampire, and she started her life during the medieval times. So I think we could easily find in her lore some kind of a look, some kind of her story what she was doing during World War One, and how she looked like, and what clothes she was wearing, and what weapons she was using. It's possible to do so. In terms of monsters, I think that it would be just tons of things. Yeah, according to that most of our player base are guys from who enjoy playing DBD. We would love to have some maybe DBD classic killers. I mean, not those whom they used as guest characters too, but the original DBD universe monsters, like a trapper. I think it would be no problem with making a trapper climb walls because he's a really powerful character, so it's pretty understandable that can he use his strong arms and feet in order to climb walls or even crack with his fingers into the bricks in order to keep on going up. Yeah, so I think it would be a really cool thing, and there are so many cool characters and universes which are similar to Beast Tower in terms of look and atmosphere and epoch that it would be just not wise not to use such an opportunity. Oh, we even have a joke today with Alex that I personally, as far as I figured out, Alex is two fans of Ninja Turtles. And recently, Ninja Turtles' new game was launched on Steam. So it was really, really cool remake of old, console titles for like SNES or Mega Drive or Nintendo, Super Nintendo. So that's why we just have a joke that could you imagine Ninja Turtles to be guests in Beast Tower and who they would be, Beasts or Raiders? So it was really funny. So
Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of possibilities and a lot of options here, but only time will tell.
the only
Uh,
thing, I'm sorry,
mhm.
Alex, for interrupting you, but there usually another question arises when we discuss this thing, that sometimes we got compared with some popular franchises of all these dark worlds, of these mystic things. First of all, with the Vampires the Masquerade or the Dark World franchise. So people would ask, guys, why you were not making the game using this franchise? Why you didn't contact the owners so they will give you the license? Um, Guys, first of all, we need to point out that we wanted to create our own universe, uh, especially with werewolves. Yes. So the first idea, as I've said many times today, it was parkour from werewolves. That's why we needed werewolves. And there are not really much werewolf franchises on the market which are popular. And of course, werewolves are presented in the Dark World universe, but they don't play the first role at all because it's about vampires, not werewolves. And secondly, you see, the point is that it's really dangerous. I'm not afraid to use this word, really dangerous from the developers like ours who are developing our own game with our own gameplay to be 100% dependent from the franchise owner. Just to give you a couple of examples, uh, Friday the 13th game, which I believe personally was really a good competitor for DBD, actually collapsed because they lost the right from franchise owner to add new content to the game basing on the Friday the 13th stories, movies, and everything like that. It was just killed in a second, just because somebody decided to stop giving the licensing rights. Yeah. Secondly, you see, even if we talk about the Dark World franchise, recently, I believe two games were launched. The first game was especially funny about werewolves, Werewolf the Apocalypse, and the second was Blood Hunt. So it's a kind of a battle royale game of vampires who are just climbing buildings and shooting AK-47. Um, and I can't say that this is a really strong franchise because Werewolves the Apocalypse was not really successful. And what's going on with Blood Hunt is hard to say for me right now because I don't keep my eye on this game. I played it when it was launched last year for some time, but I'm not really good at aiming and I'm not really good at headshots. That's why I just wasn't really excited about this title. Um, so that's why we really like the approach of DBD, where you don't depend on franchise owners. And for example, they also had a very unpleasant situation. Then we were given the right to introduce into the game the Stranger Things characters, and it was really, really strong DLC, which was really popular. And at some point, the Netflix took back the license, and now only those who managed to buy these characters at the time they were available still could play them, and other players are not allowed to do it. If I'm not mistaken, Alexa, do you know if they had to remove the, Demagogon laboratory from the game's maps too?
Um, Probably yes. I'm not sure if there are anyone in the chat who knows exactly. Please help us with that. But if I'm not mistaken, yes, they had to uh, delete it, not like from the game.
I also don't remember, but maybe in DBD they use such an approach that the location is the killer dependent. I mean, if you choose Demagogon as your killer, you will definitely be playing the match on the laboratory floors, while if you use this mad doctor with electric stick, I sorry, I don't remember how he's called properly, you will be definitely playing in the abandoned um, hospital house. I'm not sure if it works this way, but this is how I thought it would be working, because if we talk about Nemesis character from the Resident Evil DLC, which was already mentioned in the chat, uh, I I watched several streams because honestly I'm not a great DBD player. Although it's a marvelous game from my point of view, it's just a genius game from my point of view, because they created really, really cool gameplay, which you just people play and don't get bored with that. That's the greatest achievement any game designer can only dream about. If I'm not mistaken, each time you are playing against Nemesis, you are always in this police facility. You're always there.
No.
No?
So again, Thought Patrolling Incoming says that it's not really the case, and I mean, first of all, in terms of Stranger Things, yes, they did have to remove the map from the game entirely.
Right.
In terms of like the obligation to play on a certain map while playing a certain killer, so it's not the case. So you can use the offering, one of the
Yeah, it's a special item in
yes.
DBD.
Yeah. So in order to increase the chances to get one map you want to play on, but it's never like you never know really. So you can increase your chances, but only gods of luck can help you here.
Yeah. Because being too dependent on especially on some huge organization like Netflix, it's not a really good idea, because you never know what are their plans, how they would behave, because there's so many people in charge of taking up decisions that it's nearly impossible to build effective communication with the person in charge, because there is no exact person who is in charge of everything. There are lots of managers who are taking up the decisions, who are calculating the profits and deciding what would be good or bad for the company in next year or next month, next week or next day. That's why we decided that we want to make our own world, our own universe, to be completely free with owning the IP. But yeah, we would love to collaborate, and we would love to offer to invite characters from other games to Beast Tower 2. So if you have in mind some cool ideas of whom you're gonna would be happy to see in Beast Tower, just drop us a line here. We'll be happy to discuss it.
Yeah, so guys, I just wanted to remind you that we are here for you, and we are answering your question first of all. Go ahead and ask us anything, like anything. Maybe we will not be able to answer it, but we at least will try. Yeah. So, and if you are planning to participate in our test in the end of this week, also let us know and tell us what character would you play as, because we do have a number of them and they are very different, and each character has unique set of abilities, unique set of visuals. So what character would you like to play?
Okay, guys, just give me a second to fix one small technical issue. Yeah. So, okay. So now I just think that we can just return a bit back to what we started our stream with Steam Next Fest. So, it was and is still one this week our main goal of working in team to have this event run as smoothly as possible and to have as many response to Beast Hour as possible. First of all, in terms of wish list, in terms of different visuals and text which we post in our social media. Also, just to repeat this Sunday on the 19th of June at from 6 to 9 p.m. UTC, you'll be able to play Beast Tower. Yeah. So just go to our Steam page, download the game right now, and launch it on the dates and time I've mentioned. Just because at only this time the servers will be working for 3 hours straight. So you would have enough time to try every character and try as many games as you wish, because according to our research and to our stats data, it's about 15 minutes long every game. So I believe you just can play a lot to make up your mind and to share with us your feedback.
Yeah, about 10 or maybe even more, maybe 11, 12 games if you manage. I believe you can play. So yeah, and so we do have 3 characters, so you can play 4 matches, around 4 matches for each character. I believe it would be
Yeah,
enough to get your first
but the
impression.
only thing which I want to remind, and we do have a special post for that in our social media, that we would strongly recommend you to watch the tutorial before you start
Yes.
the game. Yeah, as the game is currently at closed alpha stage actually, because we can't allow everyone to play every time. That's why we call it so. You see, the point is that we don't have a usual tutorial where you have actually kind of a separate level where you can try things and understand how the controls work and game rules work. And because as long as we are at the development stage and things may be subject to change, especially the UI and the way some elements are working together, it's not a good idea to make a completely and fully done tutorial, because it would be 100% subject to change in the future. That means it would be the waste of resources and time on making this kind of a game part. That's why we made a kind of a compromise of a YouTube list of short videos which tell you about the most important mechanics and aspects of Beast Tower, which you need to understand and know before you start playing. So please just spend 5 minutes of your time to have a look on our tutorial on YouTube to make sure that when you enter the game, you understand what are you doing and why. Well, honestly speaking, we try to make everything as clear as possible, but still tutorial helps you just to collect everything in your head and just enjoy the game without just being confused about some things.
Yeah, we try to keep only necessary information, not every bit of detail about the game, and you can actually watch it right now, so you don't have to wait for our post. You can just download the game and click tutorial button and be transferred into to YouTube. There will be 2 separate play set of videos you can watch. The first one is about raiders. The second is about beasts, how they are controlled, what the objectives are, and what are the ultimate goals of these characters. Also, yeah. So go ahead and watch it. It will not take much of your time, that's for sure, and it will give you a benefit, very advantage before if you watch it before in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we believe you'll find this tutorial useful and you'll just be really enjoying the game without the necessity to read additional notes and make some kind of mistakes. Yeah, actually, I personally always spend time on tutorials and games. I understand that there are people who don't like spending time on tutorials, and I am completely fine with that. But still, I would say that it's a good idea to have a look at what we've done, because I'm really proud of this tutorial, because it's short, it's quite complex. I mean, covering all the main things you need to know, and it's done in video form with short subtitles, which would be no problem for you to read and to understand.
Yeah, some people might say like, oh, so if it's a good game, it should be understandable right from the start. I should get the idea, and it should be very easy to start playing the game, even if I have not watched anything, read anything about the game. It's one option. I mean, it's one opinion, but at the same time, there are a lot of very complex games, complicated ones. I mean, the extreme examples maybe like Dungeons and Dragons. For example, if you want to play as a master, game master. But there are also a lot of other games that use very difficult systems. But once you manage to get your, to figure out how these things work, you would get a lot of enjoyment from them. And
Yeah, I just would point out that Alex is 100% right, that not every cool game is a simple one. So just to give you example of examples, it's the chess. Well, I can't say that chess rules are actually complex ones, but you would hardly understand how everything works if nobody explains it to you. If you would be just watching other people playing, or it would take quite a time of yours to understand how each figure is acting and how some crazy things like, with changing the figures of uh, the king and this guarding tower, yeah, between themselves, how it works out.
yeah, by the way, I cannot play chess. I mean, I tried my best to figure out the rules and to remember them, but it's a very difficult thing for me. Yeah, so I actually even saw, maybe you have heard, there was a serial, TV serial about the very famous. Oh, maybe I'm not. In any case, there was a Netflix TV show
Yeah,
about
like something like the Step of the Queen or something like that.
Queen's Gambit, if I'm
Queen's
not
Gambit,
mistaken.
right?
Yeah, that's I don't know how to play chess, but I watched it and I enjoyed it. And yeah, that's when you see that's when you know it's a good TV show, because you don't have to be an expert in that sense. But if you want to play the game, of course, you have to study and to experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I can't say that I'm good in chess either. I know the rules, maybe just some couple of things which I would need to refresh in my memory in order to be just set on the board and play. But I'm not a kind of a person who is into this type of gameplay when you need to calculate all these turns and to understand what would happen and so on and so after. Honestly speaking, it's a kind of maybe even, to be honest, a kind of a too complex thing for me. I mean, I can try to do it, but I'm not likely to win, and I'm not likely enjoy it. That's why I'm just try to play chess for some time when I was, in middle school, just with some friends of mine, with some relatives. I mean, I wasn't going to any type of a chess school or something like that. Just simple things. But sometimes I maybe once I remember myself to get, really involved in watching some YouTube videos where a professional chess master was explaining games of Magnus Carlsen and other cool chess masters of our time. and it was really interesting for me, and that's why I even tried to figure out, to understand, to gather some information how the chess players prepare for themselves, and it turned out that they're quite good in active sports like running, like cycling, and maybe things like basketball and volleyball, because somehow these disciplines are really good for the memory, really good for just brain work, which is important for every chess master.
Yes, yes, true. Um, so, Anton,
Hmm?
what other, I mean, TV shows have you seen lately? Maybe you have.
TV shows. You see, guys, honestly speaking, I just cut myself on the idea that I am more into some old things that rather new ones. Of course, I watch everything that is quite popular and which is, a kind of a, top pop culture things. I mean, like, of course, Breaking Bad, which is, of course, a pretty old series right now, or Game of Thrones, or I watched the things like The Boys, this very good um, view of the universe with true superheroes. But currently, I'm watching a very old TV series called The Mentalist, if I'm not mistaken, about a person who was, originally a kind of cheater who was calling himself a telepath or a medium, the person who can call for the souls of the dead people. And also, he was a professional magician, the person who is showing tricks, who are making shows and all these illusions. And this guy, after his wife and daughter were killed by a serial maniac called the Blood John, or the Bloody John, uh, he starts working as a consulting specialist of the um, California Bureau of Investigation, KBI. This is a kind of police structure in charge of investigating really hard and horrible crimes on the territory of California. So they are kind of a FBI, but for California only. And he works there as a consultant, so he gives them ideas, but actually he's working as a professional investigator. To some extent, he also reminds me of Mr. Sherlock Holmes, which one of my personal most favorite fictional characters, just in terms of literature. And he is very attentive. He's very, marvelous, and he is person, this mentalist, he's good at reading people, so understanding how they behave, how the emotions work, and how to trick criminals in order to make them just prove that they are those who made that or that bad thing. And although this series is a kind of real repetitive, I mean, they have a kind of typical plot which is used almost for every episode. Honestly speaking, it was the same thing which I figured out when I was watching Doctor House, this famous Hugh Laurie TV shows.
Mhm.
And if you compare two episodes from season 1 and season 10, honestly, the plot structure may be very similar. But still, it's like with good PvP games. You do it every time and you repeat things over and over and you don't get bored. Maybe it's the formula which works for TV shows too. I mean, really long ones, of course.
By the way, you have mentioned Breaking Bad, yes?
Yes.
You have watched it, right?
Yes, I have watched the full, all the episodes. Yes, I watched it from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking you is because right now there is a TV show coming. I'm not coming. It's every week there is a new serial. So about Better Call Saul, if I'm not mistaken, it's
Yes,
called.
I also watched some seasons of this show too, because it's a kind of a prequel.
Yes.
Because to Breaking bad events. And there, the main character is this, lawyer, this kind of who is not really a clean-handed one, and he's working with criminals and helping people to, not get punished for their crimes. Uh, Honestly speaking, I watched 2 seasons of Better Call Saul, and then I got tired of it. I
Mm.
sometimes not really good at watching the whole series of all the show because as soon as I get bored or tired with it or just don't like how they do repeat things, I stop watching it. For example, the same was with The Clinic. I watched 2 seasons or maybe one and a half, and as soon as I understand what would happen each time in every new episode and what time somebody would say this and other people would say that, although the show is great, of course it's by all means great, I just stopped watching it. And if we talk about the Breaking Bad, mm, well, I watched it, but I can't say that I really enjoyed it.
Mm.
It's great. It's really great because it has a really important thing which is typical and it's a must for every good story. It's a kind of an arc of a character. Just in simple words, is that the character changes through the story, starting in as one person and ending as quite a different one. And Breaking Bad does really, really cool thing of showing how it works in terms of Walter White, or Heisenberg, it's better to say, as soon as he transfers his personality. And he is a comrade, he is a companion, Mr. Pinkman, Jesse Pinkman, who from a bad person actually turns into a kind of hoping to become a good one. And it is really cool. But it's not kind of a thing I'm really mad with, and it's not a kind of a thing I would just watch again or just spend time on some YouTube videos where some best things are shown. No, it's not the thing. Although, of course, the whole story of my career, it taught me that if you don't like something, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Maybe it's not just according to your taste. It's okay. And it really helps out when you're working in game development because it helps you to collect good ideas from different sources of information in your mind and use them for your titles, although you may not like the source of this idea. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it's true. We do have we do have a lot of like we implemented a lot of ideas from other games, from other genres, and even like you never know where this great idea might come from. Every time it's a surprise even for us. Yeah, I just the reason I mentioned Breaking Bad is because I would say it's probably my favorite TV show, and right now, like Better Call Saul is the last season live, and yeah, it's very intriguing. I would say how they would finish the story.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This both shows are top ones, and they work great because they actually don't really aren't really action ones. So there are a little fighting or some violence or something like that, but it's about people and people relationships and what people do, how they behave when they need to choose between different things like money, power, and staying an honest and a good person. And this is very tricky things which I believe uh, all people in the world sometimes face this choice. And that's why I think it's so catchy. But me personally, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to invest my time into seeing them. If I want to know how things would work, I know that it's bad. It's not a kind of a thing you should do, but I would rather watch some kind of a short video on YouTube where a person just tells what happened and shows some short episodes from the show so you can understand how the story was developing and what happened actually by the end.
I see. I see. So, Anton, do we have any other questions from?
Well, as far as I see in on Steam, in Twitch, and on YouTube, we've answered pretty all the questions we had right now. So, guys, I would just want to say that thank you very much for being with us today, for answering your questions, and please don't forget to download the demo from our Steam page and to come to play Beast Tower this Sunday, the 19th of June, from 6 to 9 UTC. I promise you'll like the game, and we'll be very happy to learn your feedback to make the game even better. So, thank you very much again for being with us, and as I used to say, the Beast